We're still waiting to hear back from the Air Force Base to find out the exact condition of the 4 passengers that were on board that flight. But again, we were here as that plane landed, and from what we can tell, it looked like a flawless landing.
And we are live at White Point Garden. I have Mark Ruppel with me. Tell us what we're looking for. This 2-year-old went missing about 7:30 tonight.
You guys, it's actually very cold out here, but we're still enjoying it. We're trying to make the best out of it. It's a lot of fun. It's not very often that we get this kind of snow here.
The extent of the graffiti is hard to take in. In fact, there's not even one place you can stand in and see it all at once. It covers an area that's bigger than 2 football fields. Well, he told the judge he was, quote, forced into it. Deputies say he confessed that money problems were the reason for the line.
Family members say Nayana Patel was struggling with depression, possibly postpartum depression, after a pregnancy that didn't go to full term. And they say that they were recently still trying to figure out which medicine worked best for her.
There's a lot of people that were coming to us and asking, how can we help? How can we donate? How can we do something to help Lana?
That's how we caught this guy. We got lucky.
Comparing Reno to what we do with this airplane would be like comparing an Indy 500 car to a Sunday drive.
Workers here say the stories on the second floor are just the beginning. Down here in the courtyard, guests often report hearing noises. Typically, they say it's from children giggling.
Beach weather? Far from it. Cold temperatures and no sun have left places like this deserted.
This is the Battery Carriage House Inn. It was built in the 1840s.
It's a huge success. It's a huge hit, and people come from literally all around the country to experience Charleston's most haunted inn.
So many different people pass through, so many bombastic personalities and tragedies.
The victims of 2 tragedies are said to still haunt 20 South Battery. In room 8, there is a headless torso.
No head, nothing below the elbows, and nothing below the thighs.
He was wearing heavy clothing, sort of that wool from back in the 1800s.
And one of the guests who saw him described what he felt.
A certain discomfort about that, and that he wasn't welcome around the room.
The ghost said to have been killed at White Point Gardens when the park became a fortification for the city during the Civil War.
It was a massive explosion. The men were dismembered, and I believe the ghost in the Battery Carriage House Inn is one of those Confederates that was blown to smithereens in the mid-1860s.
We've had people report the shutters behind these curtains will open and then close.
Images are seen on the mirror. Guests say the faucet drips, and when they get up to look, the sink is dry.
We have room number 10.
The guest inside may have been staying there since the early 1900s.
It's a gentleman who ended his own life back in 1904 by jumping off the roof of the place.
A young man, dressed nicely, kind of walked by them on the side of the bed. We've had a few reports of women saying that he's actually climbed into the bed with them.
He politely exits after a subtle bow, and that's why they call him the gentleman ghost. He knows when he's crossed the line.
Workers here say the stories on the second floor are just the beginning. Down here in the courtyard, guests often report hearing noises. Typically, they say it's from children giggling.
The people that I give the most credence to are the guests that come in with no preconceived notion, have never heard about the ghosts here, and then come down to the front desk and say, a strange thing happened last night. I've never seen an actual apparition, but occasionally you get that feeling where you look behind you because you feel like someone is watching you or is right behind you.
It's not surprising that Charleston has so many ghosts because the city's been here nearly 300 years.
Ed Macy wrote a book about haunted Charleston. He says there's so many stories, he could write several more.
I've always thought the spirit world crystallizes around what they're familiar with. And by law, you will not find a place in America that has more places of interest that are the same as Charleston.
Thursday night, the Greenville Drive drove the crowd wild like usual. And while the game was the same, the roster wasn't.
There's a very big plan to do.
Trey Murphy dressed the part of a player, practiced like one.
Sorry, it was fun to actually get back in there and swing a bat for the first time since high school.
And even got treated like the others.
Oh, there we go.
But the game he was here to play wasn't baseball.
I'm honestly worried she's going to squeeze the life out of me.
Murphy, a staff sergeant in the Air Force, was here to surprise his mom, Sarah. He told her he wasn't coming home from Afghanistan until Sunday.
I think we might need the medics on standby.
His mom, dad, and brother sat in the stands thinking they were special guests for United Service Organization night. During the third inning, the family got called to the field to talk about Murphy's service.
This here is the Murphy family, and they have a son who is overseas.
The whole time, Murphy, disguised as number 26, got closer and closer, and with everyone watching, he became the most valuable player.
So we didn't talk this over. When do you expect Trey home? Because is it right now, by any chance?
Fans flew out of their chairs, alternating between applause and drying their eyes. This went about as well
I'm blown away.
as everyone who was in on it hoped it would.
I thought this is so neat. It is so special because it is overwhelming.
Murphy is home for good now.
Because I really wasn't going to sleep well until I could hug his neck. And
Well, he did that.
A family reunited.
Very proud of him. And thank you for everybody who had a part in this.
By quite the curveball. Mike McCormick, WIFF News 4, Greenville.
Ask Nadia Hilton Adams who her favorite tennis player is, and her answer comes back just as fast as her backhand. Maria Sharapova.
Yeah, she's been my favorite tennis player ever since I've been watching tennis.
And she was watching tennis when she saw how she could meet the Russian tennis superstar. An essay competition sponsored by Head Sports Equipment. When the commercial was over, she started writing.
I thought in the back of my mind maybe I would win, but I didn't think I would really win, like as all the people submit, because I know a lot of people watch the U.S. Open.
As a middle-class girl playing a sport with an upper-class reputation, she focused her essay on what she and the star have in common.
Because her father was a janitor, so she had to work, she normally do things herself and practice by herself sometimes. So I was just like, well, I'm not well off either, and I have to work for what I have too.
A few months later, Nadia was in the shower when her mom came knocking with the results.
Nadia, get out the shower. And I was like, what? And she said, you won, Sharapova. I was like, Sharapova, what are you talking about? At first, I stood there for 15 seconds, like, just thought about it and thought it was a dream. And then I started screaming and going crazy.
Now she's getting ready for the meeting. As a tennis player for Southside High School, and after being named regional MVP last season, she's brushing up just in case the friendly visit gets competitive.
Yes, I definitely will bring it.
Ready to see her hero on the other side of the net.
Well, Michael, it was geared towards children who, along with adults, are still struggling to grasp what happened to 7-year-old Gia and 4-year-old Pia.
We are all here, we are all here, we are all sad, we are all sad.
Sometimes the littlest hearts can break the hardest.
Feeling so bad, feeling so bad.
But here at the school where Gia Patel was enrolled 1 week before her death, there is healing. Those who love these little girls say they lived up to their names. Pia, 4 years old, means beloved. Gia, who was 7, means heart.
And I miss them very much.
Katie Polhamel lives across the street from the Patels. She and Gia used to play.
When I first saw the police officers and stuff coming down the road, I started feeling sad and worried.
Neither a child or adult can grasp what happened. Police say the mother, Nayana Patel, killed her 2 little girls with a hatchet at their Asheville home and blamed it on a ghost.
And as a mother, it's hard to look at your children, you know that something like that has happened, and then you have to explain to them, you know how sometimes people don't feel well, and things happen, and just that that as a mom, I'm here to protect you and love you.
Here, all are connected, even if they're strangers, a thought that brought tears and a smile to Gia and Pia's uncle.
And they have a lot of support here,
And then I never see like that. Oh boy, first time I see it in my life.
And just like the wind that can't be seen blowing a pinwheel, those here know it's still around them.
Joining our hearts.
And so are Gia and Pia Patel.
Ask people living around the Hampton Avenue Bridge and you'll hear two things. First, that it's dangerous.
Yeah, it's no fence up there for one, so if somebody wants to just go jump off of the bridge or anything.
And second, that lots of people use it anyway. What do you use it for?
Coming to work and stuff.
Yes, I do. I walk across the bridge to go to the store.
Now we have to walk all the way around and everything just to get to the store.
This week, the State Department of Transportation announced that the bridge will be torn down by August 30th. The DOT says the bridge was built around the year 1900 and is a high risk for collapse. So far, there are no official plans for a replacement. For people living near the bridge, tearing it down means taking a big detour. The next nearest railroad crossing is at Pete Hollis Boulevard. Not only does that route involve walking next to a very busy street, it also involves going about a mile out of your way if you're a pedestrian. So people who walk on this bridge every day coming to and from work would have to walk an extra 2 miles daily.
There are a lot of people who do not have cars in this community, and it is a way for them to get home.
Greenville City Council member Lillian Brock Fleming is one of several elected officials who's been pushing for a footbridge to be put in the old bridge's place. It's a process she says would require state, county, and federal officials, plus the Norfolk Southern Railroad, to work together. But she says red tape isn't the biggest obstacle.
The hurdles cost money.
Trying to replace a bridge that used to unite a community. John Eby, WIFF, News 4, Greenville. Nestled in the North Carolina mountains, the town of Saluda is where people come to get away from the daily grind.
You know, there's a lot of kayaking here and a lot of hiking.
But on Tuesday night, the daily commute was forced on them. A tanker wreck on Interstate 26 forced eastbound traffic to detour onto US 176 right through the heart of town.
It was really a surprise. We came down here and had a hard time getting to the store because of the traffic.
But for Leon Morgan, owner of the M.A. Pace General Store, the rush of traffic turned into an unexpected rush of customers.
We didn't leave here Thursday night till about 7:30, and we usually close about 6 o'clock.
Morgan said he saw about 30% more business on Wednesday than on a typical Saturday, his busiest day of the week. And he said the bump comes at a time of year when tourists usually don't spend as much.
This is right before tax time, and everybody kind of holds back on their money.
He said many of his detoured customers came in looking for food. The servers at the Green River Barbecue down the street tell the same story.
People are hungry and just want to grab some food while they're traveling.
They say since the detour, the lunch crowd has been bustling as late as 3 in the afternoon.
Get the bills paid.
A slowdown for drivers getting business to pick up speed.
I guess I'd like to see it go on, but I know it can't forever.
We're trying to let the drivers know throughout South Carolina that we don't just work on holidays.
And with that, officers with Highway Patrol and the Charleston Police Department set up shop on Hugie Street in downtown Charleston looking for drunk drivers.
All righty, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate you wearing your seatbelt, okay? Take care and drive safe.
Officers like these were set up all over the state, making sure there weren't any drunk drivers on the roadways. And while the checkpoint is meant to curb drunk driving, that's not the only thing it does. They made arrests for a wide range of offenses.
People who are driving under suspension, weapons violations, fugitive from justice warrants, you name it, we're looking for it.
Last night they wrote 45 tickets, including 3 open container violations, a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt, and 8 DUIs, including one woman who brought her drink on the road with her. Highway Patrol says events like these are meant to keep the streets safe and remind the public that they're out there, holiday or not.
We also work at any given time at any given location. The Highway Patrol, along with our local law enforcement partners, are very serious about removing DUI offenders from the roadways of South Carolina.